So I had to grab the book. He talks about there's meeting in the middle, there's meeting on your side, and then there's meeting later. So the meeting in the middle should be self-explanatory. Same thing with meeting on your side. But this meeting in the middle is really interesting.
Meeting later.
I'm sorry, meeting later is really interesting because he talks about how instead of saying we need to talk, let me know when you have time to talk, which is the later.
Like,
And
cringe.
Like trigger central. But he says instead approach your partner by saying, whenever you have some time, I would love to listen to whatever you have to say or whatever's on your heart or on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So just let me know. Like, how much different do you instantly feel? Your guards are down, your walls. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I got time right now. Actually, if you
It
got
just
time.
sounds so weird to hear.
What do you mean?
Like, whenever you have time, I want to listen to what you have to say. What if the person's like, I have nothing to say.
Yeah, sure. And in that moment, I guess it's like, I have nothing to say, but why do you ask?
Yeah.
Right? And then I would respond with, well, actually, I would love if you can make some time to listen to some of the things I have to say. But I'm going to start with you first, if you have to. I love the saying, when you're able to be heard, you can hear better. So I would feel like if you're able to be heard and you feel like I validated you, then you would do the same for me. All right, love, welcome back. Almost done. Almost done, Shannon. I know you can't wait.
I feel like you just need to be like, happy Friday, happy Tuesday, happy Monday.
We don't know when they're watching or listening.
Oh. Because welcome back. I'm like,
I've been here.
I've been here.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about things I wish I had known before I got married. It's a little bit off the book by Gary Chapman, but also just...
The book matches my shirt, too.
Oh, yeah.
I just realized.
There you go. It's also going to be off the book of the Davises. But before we get into that, speaking of marriage, and we are a married couple who would like to have children one day. Today was an interesting day. I had my sperm retention.
Tested.
Is the test called the sperm retention test?
I actually don't know what it's called.
Anyways, I had to check on my swimmers, basically. And
which we don't have the results yet, but the process.
The process is interesting. And maybe this is TMI, but maybe people want to know. So it's a bit awkward to start because you're walking into this office and everyone knows why you're there. Right?
Well, that's what I said to you. I was like, you don't need me to go? You're like, no, I'm good. I was like, so everyone's just going to know what you're going in the room to do.
Well, if you were there, it wouldn't matter. I mean, they know why I'm there, whether I'm there with you or an entourage.
And then when you come out of the room, everyone knows what you just did.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, and then, you're like, okay, well, I'm not the first person to be going in here doing this. Let's just act mature and like get in and get out. And that's it. So it wasn't as awkward as I thought, I guess, in the waiting room. There was one other guy. So, we just had that moment of like.
Did you do like a nod?
What's up, bro? Yeah. And they called me first. He was sat there when I walked in and when I was leaving. I don't know what was going on with him. But anyways.
Yeah.
And there were two women in the reception area, and one of them was like a little not as professional as the other one, I guess I would say. She was kind of like, how's it going? And I'm like, okay, all right, you don't have to just put on this act. Just let me know when I can get in. And so the other one was like just straight face, like, okay, sign here and fill out this. And she was like very formal and efficient. And so she goes, okay, we'll call your name. So they call my name. Mind you, on the way there, when I drive,
did you set the mood? Like, did you put on like some
R&B
music?
No. But when I drive, there's one of three things going on. Either there's a podcast on, one of four things. Sorry, a podcast on, an audiobook, music, or I'm on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't think of like what book to be listening to on the way there. And then I couldn't really the podcast wasn't on my mind. And I was like, I normally call my boy Juice. I'm like, is it weird if I call him while I'm on my way to go do this? I called him anyway. He was at his daughter's volleyball tournament. So I was like, okay, cool. So let me throw in this audiobook. But even like that, I'm never thinking twice about who I'm calling. I just call, but all for this experience. And so anyway, so fast forward to the office. They call my name up. Okay, cool. So she's like, all right, just follow me. She brought me to this room, and this is the real professional one. And she was like very like, I wish she had a little bit more personality to her.
Yeah.
It just made it kind of awkward. She's like, okay, let us know when you're done, and the door shuts and locks behind me. And I was like, okay, see ya. I was like, I'm going into outer space or something. Like, give me like 15 minutes. I'll be out. So speaking of the time, though, this was an important thought that I had, because I was like, well, if I just come out in like 3 minutes, they're going to be like, oh, right? Let's set the record. Like I didn't want to come out too fast or whatever. So I was like, all right, let me just like.
Did you get started right away?
Figure this out? No, because it's awkward because the walls are thin. I can hear people in the hallway. When I was walking to the room, there was a guy sitting outside of like at the end of the hallway, but it was near my door, my room. And I'm like, oh my God. So I walk in and I was curious to see like what kind of material they had just for my amusement.
Yeah.
And they had some magazines, which I'm like, do people still use magazines nowadays? And then they had some DVDs, which I'm like, I'm not touching anything in here that I don't have to touch, first of all. But the chair that they set up for me, I'll put the picture right here. Listener, just try to use your imagination. It was like, I swear they were his pee pads where it was on like the seat. And there was just like this white.
When you sent me the photo, like without clicking on it, I was thinking it was like you were sending me like a photo of his bathroom.
Or I'm going to get like my head chopped off. There's going to be blood gushing everywhere. Because the way it was set up was just like as if I can't control my situation. Like I'm just going to be spraying everywhere. And, so it was just like laughable. I'm like, this is odd, whatever. I didn't sit in that chair though.
You stood up.
No, I didn't stand up. I sat down in another chair. I used the pad to sit down on. But I didn't sit in that chair because I'm like, it's going to be making so much noise.
Okay, all the viewers are like totally imagining you
I know.
right now.
Masturbating. Oh, God. Hey, 3 seasons. We're here. I feel like we're this close now for me to be sharing my situation.
So funny. First of all, I asked him for all these details earlier, and I don't know if he was saving it to give them to me.
No, I wasn't.
For this, but he was just super like kind of vague after. You're like, yeah.
Well, we're on the phone. I'm not gonna like. It's like I'll wait for dinner or something,
Yeah.
But
dinner.
Yeah.
Or dessert.
When is there a good day? Or dessert? That would be the best time. But yeah, I'm like, if I sit on this chair and I'm making all this noise, they're gonna hear me like, like. So I'm like, let me make my own concoction here and figure this out. But there's also like, this cup is not as big as.
It's not big enough.
It's not big enough. Well, it barely is. And I'm not like, not just for me, but I think for anyone, like, it's like the same thing as a pea cup.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Let me figure out how to explain this in a logical way. Okay, so when a man pees, it's easy to pee because we're not erect. When a man is coming and we're erect, it's a little harder to shift, right? The gear shaft is a little stiff, right? So I'm like, oh my God, I gotta like concentrate. I can't, trying to get every last drop. It's just like a whole thing. So anyways, needless to say, it was not enjoyable. It was just like, I was thinking, I'm like, I gotta get this right. I gotta make sure I get it all in there. Hopefully this is enough. So there might be people here, it's just a lot going on.
Did you make any noises?
No. You know what though? In hindsight, I kind of wish I did, just to like really mess with people.
It would have been so funny if you would have like put on like a song, like "Let me sit this ass
right?
on you,"
or Marvin Gaye, like just something just blasting, yeah, and just would have made like some crazy ass noises.
Yeah.
That'd have been hilarious. But anyway, so that was my day. This is the day in the life of a married man.
Did you have any, like, anything that you brought?
I brought my phone. I brought my phone. But yeah, so anyways, I don't know why I'm telling you guys this, but that's where we are in the baby making journey.
So if he looks a lot lighter today, if his energy is a little bit
exhausted.
Y'all know why.
But yeah, I mean, we've been trying. This was my first testing situation. Shay's gone. You did a dye test.
Yeah, I did.
An ovarian test.
Yeah, I did like the ultrasound test, the blood work test, and the dye test, and I'm all good.
Yeah, she's got multiple eggs.
Yeah.
So, like you're all good. So this was like, maybe it's me. So we'll find out.
But we haven't we haven't been on a schedule trying.
No.
Like to that degree. We've just been like
being careful.
Yeah, just having free sex and hoping it's going to happen. But because it's been, years that we've had that, like we are like, maybe we should get tested, especially because it's getting closer to the time that we will. Mm-hmm. We just want to make sure we're all good.
We're all good. So I'll let you know what my swimmers are doing. Keep you guys updated.
They're lost. He's been killing them in the hot yoga.
Yeah. But these are things I wish I knew before I got married. These are like some of the things. I will say that luckily, it's not that sensitive a topic for us. Mm-hmm. I think you got emotional one time when one of our friends was pregnant.
Yeah.
And of course, people can relate to this. When you're trying to get pregnant, everyone around you is pregnant.
Yeah.
Like literally. And or on their third baby.
Yeah, I went to the store yesterday and everybody in the store was pregnant and I was on my way to a baby shower.
Right, exactly. It's like, come on, man. So, but again, luckily we've been able to keep our spirits high, be optimistic, when the time is right. Mm-hmm. And but anyways,
I would love for it to happen just naturally, where it's like God's timing. It's not, artificially inserted
I know. Me too.
Turkey based inside me.
Same. I'm hoping the same.
Yeah.
I think it will.
I want to be like pleasantly surprised, not like anticipating,
I think it will. If I'm being honest, the last couple years, I don't know if it would have been the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With all that we had going on, work-wise, in our relationship, living situation, I think it'll happen at the right time.
Yeah, I hope so.
So again, today's topic, things I wish I would have known before I got married. What comes to mind, honey, when I throw that at you?
I mean, I guess I was going to say it's not easy, but I think I always knew that it wasn't going to be easy. I always knew that anytime you're combining lives, like whether it's marriage or just living together, there's going to be rocky patches and that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm trying to think what else can come to my mind.
I only laugh at that, by the way, because you did, I didn't. We've documented here several times. Like, I did not think there was going to be some crazy.
Oh, yeah. You didn't think there was going to be. You thought it was going to be all like rainbows and sunshine.
Thought it was going to be a show on ABC or NBC. I really did.
But even them, they have issues.
I know. Yeah, shame on me. Well, I'll start us off a little bit. So one thing for me that comes to mind, and I forgot, I think this was from Esther Perel. She said, in marriage, would you rather be right or would you rather be married?
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
And that really stuck with me because I'm like, yeah. Because, the happy wife, happy life, that's got some, like, that is subjective, right? But do you want to be right or do you want to be married? And that reminds me of compromise. Mm-hmm. And one thing I wish I would have known before we got married is how much compromising you have to do. They talk about it, but they don't really specify, like, how much. Mm-hmm. And I guess I used to think compromise was, okay, fine, you win, I lose this time. And then the next time is like, I win and you lose because, I won last time and you're up now. Like, I guess in my subconscious, that's what I kind of thought compromising was.
Yeah.
That's something I wish I would have known. Another thing is I feel like I prepared so much for our wedding and very little for our marriage.
How did you prepare for the wedding? Like taking sax lessons?
Sax lessons. You say sax?
Yeah, sax.
So you're still thinking about my morning.
You're still thinking because I definitely said sax.
It sounds like sex. In the comments, did you hear sex or sax at first?
I mean, it's one word off. I mean,
it's
one letter off.
I know what you said. So. It's kind of blended. Anyways, no, I was so prepared for, preparing for the wedding financially, the saxophone for sure lessons, what I was going to wear, the photography, the videography, the aesthetic, like the aisle, the chairs, the decor, the locate. Like I was so focused on that, that little did I know that's one day in the marriage is hopefully for a lifetime. And I did a very poor job of preparing for the marriage.
Yeah. I think for me, one thing that comes to mind as I was listening to you talk is the little things don't matter.
Little things don't matter?
Don't matter.
But they add up.
Yeah, they add up. But I think that, like, when I say little things, it's just, I guess I just think that they just don't matter sometimes. Like when you like come out of like our moment right here and you really just 30, 40 years later, we're not going to be thinking about the little things, we won't even remember the little things. I think even today, a lot of the little things that were important to us before, we probably can't really think of all of them,
Yeah.
Another thing that comes to my mind is just like, which I wish I was more prepared, is just like the unity that comes in marriage, and really allowing that to happen and not pushing back on it and not, I feel like I had a hard time on like really allowing us to become one.
Why do you think you had a hard time?
I think because I have like such an independent, I'm just like very independent. I think just a lot of different reasons, which we've talked about in the other episodes that we recently have done. So just they're 30 minutes long, so no excuse. Play those back. I don't want to, continue to repeat myself, but just keeping it to that is really just like allowing that unity to happen more and really truly feeling like we're on the same team and not like me against you versus me.
Yeah. I think it was interesting because I was really looking forward to the unity of our marriage.
But you also weren't always allowing it.
No.
So
I wasn't leading with it.
It's definitely one thing to look forward to, because I think I was also looking forward to that too, but it's another thing to subconsciously have that block that's not allowing you to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well said. I think not that I didn't take our dating or boyfriend-girlfriend relationship seriously, but there is something about, this is my wife, this is my husband, this is the ring that I have on. There's something more significant and more of a value, I guess, is the word I use. There's something else I wanted to say about that word, but anyways, but yeah, and it's I remember talking about this actually with some friends, and along the lines of like, when you introduce, if you're in a public setting, let's say you're at an event, right? And you and I are there, and I'm like, oh, this is my girlfriend, Shay, right? Or this is my wife, Shay. I and we will be viewed differently depending on what we are.
Yeah.
It's just a status thing.
It's funny that you say that, because I have a friend right now who's about to have a baby, and her boyfriend are not yet married. And whenever I'm talking about her and I'm like, oh, her boyfriend, I just feel weird saying that, because I feel like there's so much more than that.
Sure.
So I get what you're saying.
And there's probably
like it doesn't hold the same ground.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's probably some judgment there from when they're telling people that, right?
Yeah.
So I bring it up because I didn't, not that I wish I knew this, but I didn't know before we got married, like the significance of that and how much more seriously people take me, or maybe you've noticed how much seriously people take you, or how serious people take us. But it's just interesting, and that's something I didn't know before we got married. It wasn't even on my radar to think about. Pardon the interruption, part 2. Right now I wanted to come in and talk about what you continue to hear me talking about throughout this episode and this season, which is the consultations that I offer. Consultations with JD may or may not be for you, but if they are for you, or you're thinking, can they be for me? Let's go over what entails a consultation with JD. First off, it's one-on-one between you and I, or you and I and Shay, if you'd like, or better yet, you, your partner, me, and Shay. Now, I record every single session via Zoom because of this main reason. You're not gonna have to worry about what I said, what you said, what Shay said, what we came up with. You can just focus, and when I send you the recording after the session's over, you can play the recording back, listen to it, watch it as many times as you'd like to soak up all the information that we got throughout that session. Lastly, I'm going to read a couple of different reviews that I've had from my clients I thought I'd share, just again so you can get an idea of what's the session like with JD. My consultation with JD was a great experience. He allowed me to see my situation from a different point of view, which was very helpful, even more so than my therapy sessions. Sessions with JD can't be described in one word, so I'll use a few. Informative, understanding, deep, sobering, realizing, inspirational, kind, and growing. He shows up just as much as I do, if not more. It's a safe space where I can be myself. He will challenge you to help you grow at your own pace. And you wouldn't think that someone who doesn't know you at all can help you learn about yourself in just a couple sessions. JD is an incredibly skilled coach. He has such an easy way of connecting with you and making you feel seen and understood, yet he isn't afraid to challenge you and hold you accountable. We got right to it our first session, and I walked away with tactical next steps to take towards my goals. You get the sense he has really done the work for himself and is excited to share with others. I can't wait to work with him further. So again, a couple beautiful reviews from some amazing people, ones who I really admire to show up to do the work because it's not easy. But again, you don't have to do it alone. So consultations with JD, the link is in the description below. I'm here when you're ready to get to work. Back to the episode.
It was was it an adjustment for you to be like my wife?
Yes. I mean, short answer. But I was looking forward to that title.
Yeah.
I remember like when we were engaged, I was already like, I can't wait to say, this is my wife. Like I'm going to overuse that word because, it's an accomplishment.
We didn't have a long time of saying boyfriend and girlfriend.
No.
It was like really quick, and then it was fiance.
And then it was
we held the fiance title longer than the boyfriend title.
We did.
And now we're going strong with the wife husband title.
Yeah, but I was really excited because it's an accomplishment, and it is something to be proud of, and to be excited to use that title. But I will say it's an adjustment to hear you say it, even to this day. Like the other day, you were on a call, and you're like, "Oh, my husband," and I was like, "Oh."
I say my husband like 20 times a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love saying it now.
Yeah. All right. So look, just really quick. So I just want to hit a couple of the chapters, the contents in this book. Forgive the garbage man in the background, by the way.
I was like, it's back.
It doesn't matter if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I think Sunday's the only day they don't come on this block.
No, they still come.
Oh, on Sundays? Okay. If it's not Sunday, then they're definitely cutting the grass at 7 a.m. But anyways, I want to hit some of these chapters, and we can pick one just to what stands out to you. But again, from the book, Things I Wish I'd Known Before I Got Married by Gary Chapman. Here are some of the things, so tell me what stands out. Things I wish I had known: that being in love is not an adequate foundation for building a successful marriage. It's basically like when love isn't enough. That romantic love has 2 stages, not just one. I wish I had known how to solve disagreements without arguing.
That's a good one.
Amazing. I wish I had known that apologizing is a sign of strength.
That's amazing.
I wish I had known that forgiveness is not a feeling. Interesting. Things I wish I had known: that we needed a plan for handling our money. Hello.
Yes. Get us out of this apartment, Justin. Let's
Yes.
go.
I wish I had known that mutual sexual fulfillment is not automatic. Interesting. And I wish I had known that developing a healthy dating relationship is important.
Mm-hmm.
So let that marinate.
I feel like we could do an episode on each little chapter, to be honest,
sure.
but there are like a good handful of some that we can dive into. Obviously all the ones that we were like, yes, but even like that last one, I think that's one thing that we didn't really get, and maybe that's why our marriage was so rocky initially, because we had such a short-lived dating period.
Right.
Not to mention it was long distance.
Yep.
So there was a lot of like, we wouldn't see each other, and then we would see each other, and then we wouldn't see each other, although we talked on the phone all the time. It was just, it's so different when we're, together.
Yeah. And there's not that traditional, like, hey, I'll pick you up at,
No,
at 7
and
I'll drop you off.
I think about that all the time. I'm like, we never got that.
And we've talked about it before in here, it reminds me of the stat, or the phrase rather, LAT, L-A-T, which is living apart together. And I remember we joked around about like, maybe we should live apart and date again.
Yeah.
All right, well then move out. I'll move out actually. But anyways, we can start maybe with
like, I would have loved that experience of like, just like you picking me up, us going on a date, like that kind of like excitement.
We can still do that. We can role play.
Yeah. I would love it.
Let's do it.
Just start with that.
Yeah, I actually wanted to do an episode entitled "When Love Isn't Enough," and so this is, I guess, kind of perfect. Do you believe love is enough for a serious relationship?
No, there's so much more.
Okay.
I never believed that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm the one who entered this relationship knowing that it was going to be work. I was the one that when we were going through those rough patches, I'm like, this is all
part of it.
Part of it.
Yeah. Your answer threw me off because you are all things love. So
of course.
I didn't know where you stood on that. But okay. So the author talks about that there's two stages of love. There's the infatuation love, the beginning of love, which he says studies have shown that only lasts 2 years max, if you're lucky, 2 years. The second stage of love is more intentional, and it's more, and I use this word loosely, but it's more work, basically. So again, Gary Chapman is the author of the 5.
And that's usually when a lot of people give up. So it's like they don't even allow themselves to get to the level that's like the more rewarding, unconditional side of love. Right.
So Gary Chapman is the author. He's also the author of the 5 love languages, which everyone should be very familiar with. And so he goes into this part and he says, like, this second stage of love, which is more work and it's more intentional and it's a little bit more effort you have to put into it. This is where the 5 love languages really come into play. When I was listening to this part of the book and thinking about love languages, it made me think about this. So when we first met, your number 1 love language was touch, right? I feel like
it was never my number 1. I didn't want to like correct you. Quality time was always my number 1. Physical touch was number 2.
Okay. I don't even think it was a correction thing. I think you always said it's my number 1 because it was my last. So even in therapy, you would make that clear that it was your
Maybe I
number
was
1.
like, it was my top. It was my top 2.
So anyways, very important to you. And I feel like you've kind of grown out of that. I feel like touch has actually dropped down. Like being married to you now for 2.5 years, going on 3, together now for 6, basically. I would rank your love languages in terms of how you want to receive it as acts of service being number 1 now. Quality time. And then I would say touch, words of affirmation, gifts.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Okay.
And I'll have to look back at my score because I know that there was 2 that came in equal.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one right underneath that. So I felt like I always like my top 3 were just so close where they might as well be like all tops.
I just don't remember acts of service being that
I don't
important to you.
I don't either, but now I do feel like where it is important.
Yeah. No,
in some
for
ways.
sure. Yeah. So anyways, I just was listening to him like, I want to talk to Shay about this because I've had a couple questions like, can your love languages change? And I've always said yes, just like your attachment styles can change. If you don't know about attachment styles, you should definitely watch or listen to the episode Attachment Styles and Therapy with Miss Keandra Jackson, episode 27, season 1. Who knows this stuff, you know? Just throwing out a guess there. But anyways,
I mean, I could have said it.
You didn't know the episode number.
Would you have been pleasantly surprised? If
I would have been shocked, let alone pleasantly surprised. But yeah, so things can change, right? And they can evolve. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of like why your love languages change, but nonetheless, bringing it back to this book and this part that we're touching on right now. That's the stage 2 of love. It requires way more effort, way more work, and getting to know your partner's love languages, understanding their attachment styles, understanding their reasons behind their love languages and attachment styles, where they're rooted from, who kind of is their reference point for, all of the above. It's really important. So that's, to me, love is not enough. In fact, I think a lot of people might just get lost in that. But I love him, or but I love her. It's like, what else? that's 2 years max if you're lucky. Do you think ours lasted 2 years, by the way?
I mean, I feel like how I see it is I feel like our love is evolving.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people with anything give up when
things get hard.
Shit gets hard. Whether it's like a diet, whether it's a working out plan. I think that's just like, it's part of anything. If you want to see the other side of success in something, you have to go through those rough times.
100%.
But to answer your question, I think it's gotten better. I feel like it's gotten more, it's expanded in so many different ways and levels and depthness.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's definitely more depth. I don't know if depthness is a word, but I know what you mean. There's definitely more depth there, and more experiences to go off of. I feel good about that. Should we move on?
I've even noticed recently, and I have to say that I like really appreciate this, because sometimes I feel like, when you just like have something that bothers you, and we've talked about this when we're just like, F you, and it just feels so good, like having that release. There's times too where stuff bothers me and I really have to like verbally say it, because I'm, I went through the part of myself healing and self work of like really trying not to just keep everything in and having more of a voice in what I'm feeling and stuff, and not put my own feelings on the back burner. And in that, there's been moments where I want to voice how I feel, and it doesn't always come out the right way. And I feel like in the past, it has caused like a really big fight between us because of your reaction to it.
Yeah.
And then I regret even like voicing how I felt, or like having that moment or whatever. And now I've noticed there's been many times where I've said like stuff just because I need to say it, and you don't even respond at all. And I really, really appreciate that about you lately, because I feel like I'm always nervous to say something. It's a release for me, so it definitely feels good. And I think you take it a lot lighter than however you would take it in the past. Yeah. And I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I wish I could know why. I don't really know. It's hard. We're not in that moment.
I think I have the answer. I think you've really allowed yourself to understand me more. And I think you don't really take those comments or those feelings to personal or to heart. And you allow me to feel. You've given me a safe place to feel how I'm feeling without like needing to solve the problem.
That might be it.
Yeah.
The solve the problem part. Because, as I've said before, as men, we are programmed to fix the problem and solve the problem. And sometimes, as you taught me, The solution is just in the understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you to fix anything. I just need you to understand
Mm-hmm.
either what I'm going through, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking.
The next time I feel it, I'll actually, because there was a
Yeah.
moment recently that you did it, and I was like,
Yeah, please.
and I felt like I wanted to thank you, like thank
Yeah.
you for letting me get that off my chest and not really having anything
Yeah.
to banter back with, you
Mhm.
know.
Was it the podcast filming situation? Maybe.
I don't remember. There's been a lot of recent times that
Okay.
I've caught you, so it would
Yeah.
be hard to try to think and identify
Okay.
like the specific. But the next time you do it,
Yeah.
I'll probably just randomly say thank you.
Yeah. Let me know.
Thank you for
I'm
your
curious.
silence. Thank you for if you are just like allowing me to just vent, because a lot of the times it's like my just initial feelings, like in
Mhm. Trying to filter
having
them out.
yeah, and
process.
having the safe place with you to be able to just like say it without
Mhm.
judgment, without a a dialogue back
Yeah.
and forth or a question or
an
you know.
agenda.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just like it makes me feel, it allows me to release it, and it allows me to feel like I just have a safe place to even communicate it.
Mhm.
And sometimes I might be like just being dumb or in my feelings or you know just like
Mhm.
on one, and you're just like, okay, like
Yeah.
I'm just going to let her have this moment.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's I guess a testament of the work for sure, and the evolution, and really the trust that we've built between us. It
Mm-hmm.
perfect segue into this book. There's a chapter that says how to resolve disagreements without arguments,
Mm-hmm.
and that's basically what we've done really well here lately.
Mhm.
Instead of everything being a conflict or a blown out of proportion
Mhm.
thing, or we're not talking for a couple hours or a day, we've really come together in a beautiful way, communication wise, to solve these disagreements.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It's I think I just trust that the outcome will present itself.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be me who comes up with it.
But I also feel like before in the past, you never made me feel like I had a safe place to feel my own feelings. It was
Mhm.
always like, but I don't understand, or but like, you know.
Mhm.
And now I feel with you just having that silence, it almost makes me feel like you're allowing me to feel how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I get it. I'm happy
Yeah.
that happens. um, but yeah, so let's go down again this how to solve disagreements without arguing.
Not everything. Let that be like, that's a perfect segue, because let that be an example of like, not everything needs a response. Sometimes you just need that ear
Mm-hmm.
to allow yourself. Like there's sometimes when you're going through stuff with your family, and I know that it's not so much you're kind of just processing your feelings out loud.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish I would have known that what you just said. Not everything needs a response before marriage, because this is obviously the most serious relationship I've ever been in. You've ever been in. It's the first time for us that we're here, but it's again that long-term mindset we talked about recently. That really helps me focus on the present. It helps me focus on, okay, this doesn't have to have a solution right now. I don't have to get every word out right now. We'll come back to it when the time is right. And a lot of those times dissolve a lot of the arguments and dissolve a lot of the tension. And maybe even like the defensiveness or the irritation or reaction. So that would have been great to have known early on, because that would have saved us a lot. But we had to figure it out on our own. But just for everyone, like that's a great takeaway, is just really understanding, like, if this is your person, understand the long haul is way more important than the short term right now.
Yeah, I agree. That's great advice.
All right. Let's go with that apologizing. Oh, sorry. So we'll go with, I wish I had known that apologizing is a sign of strength. This is more me than you, maybe.
I was like, I really love that one.
Yeah. I didn't think apologizing was a sign of weakness. Okay, I guess I did. Where I'm going is, I used to have this fear of, it's probably my ego or just as a guy, one or the other. But I used to have this fear of not having the answers or not having that solution. So if I'm coming to you to apologize, I guess it made me feel in the past like I failed and I didn't have the right thing to say or to do at this moment. Chicago, stop. What is happening?
It was also.
So with that, it's something that I had to learn along the way. That it's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of inadequacy. It's just I don't know, and I messed up and I made a mistake. And this is a judgment-free zone and a safe space. But it took me a while to figure that out.
Do you think it also had to do with you not wanting to, like when you used to look at fighting, you know, it was like me versus you. Either you're going to win or I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And, you know, you used to say like, I forgot, there was a saying that you used to have, but do you think it also had to do with that? Like if I apologize, that's me, like basically
like waving the white flag.
Yeah.
No, I just hate losing. I think that's probably it. I hate losing. I used to hate being wrong. I don't mind it now at all because now I can learn. But the competitiveness in me, I hate losing. So, but yeah, you know.
But it is that mind shift that has to happen because it's not losing, you know.
Right.
I think the fact that you or we, you know, in general, we grow up thinking that like if you're apologizing, you're losing or whatever. If you're in a fight and you don't get the last word, you're losing, you know. And I think that's all like that's what it's like that shift. The shift in our mindset that we have to like readjust
and unlearn for sure. Yeah. So it's now I look at it as a sign of maturity for sure. Number one, growth. A step towards us and not me.
I feel like apologizing is also another way of being vulnerable because you're letting go of your ego. You're letting go of your, you know, whatever
pride,
thoughts, pride.
Yeah. Pardon the interruption. Just wanted to hop in here really quick for a couple reminders. The first reminder is the merch is available and it is back better than ever. I have some beautiful, super dope new designs, especially with the gratitude for the win, therapy for the win, and the vulnerability and normalizing that for men. Those 3 designs are brand new. I personally love them and I'm really excited to showcase them to you guys. And I'm hoping you have the same feeling that I do. So you can go get those right now at justindavis.life. That's justindavis.life. Of course, the link will be in the description below, whether you're listening or watching this. But again, just a friendly reminder, still merch out here. Got some long sleeves, got some crew neck sweatshirts, got some hoodies, got some t-shirts, whatever you need, whatever climate and season you're in. By the way, this time, as I switch some stuff around, shipping worldwide. I repeat, shipping worldwide. For all the international followers and the beautiful supporters of the community, I'm sorry about the past, but it's a new day. Get your merch too. It costs you a little pretty penny because shipping overseas apparently is crazy expensive, as I came to find out. But nonetheless, we are now shipping internationally. So justindavis.life, go get yours, support your boy, and spread the message. Some beautiful ones out there. Back to the episode. I have noticed that you've apologized a little bit more lately. I feel like you didn't really apologize.
Yeah, I didn't like to be wrong. I wanted, I strive for perfection. And I feel like there's a lot of things like that I've always wanted to be perfect. You know, I think it probably roots back to my childhood of you know, not having my dad in my life and then wanting to be the best for my mom. And yeah, I feel like it was hard for me to be wrong.
Yeah, same.
In all areas of life.
100%. Yeah, me too. I'm a perfectionist as well. And it's a whole nother episode dealing with that.
Even like playing childhood games, I would almost get anxiety about playing a game because I did not want to lose.
Same. Yeah. And once I heard that Michael Jordan once cheated in Go Fish, I was like, oh, game on. I'm never going to lose. I'll just cheat my way through. But yeah, it's again, I think it's back to that trust with us. You know, it's trust that this, I'm not going to sit here and be like, aha, you lost. You know, I was right, you were wrong. And like, you trust that now. So you're able to come to me and apologize and vice versa. And I'm not going to be judged or looked at as less than, or again, inadequate. And that really helps me come to the table with my vulnerability and say, I admit I'm wrong, or I didn't understand this correctly. I thought I did, or I made a mistake. So it's a beautiful thing. And it feels not like in an entitled, egotistical way, but it does feel so good to receive an apology from you, because I'm like, oh man, like she gets it. Like, so now we can figure this out together, you know, and I'm sure vice versa. When I come to you and say, I'm sorry, you know, what does that do for you?
I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even like yesterday.
I was like, can you expand?
No. I think last night when I felt bad about not going with you to go pick up food, and without you even saying anything, I didn't know if like you were really feeling a type of way or not, but like immediately I addressed it when you got home, you know?
Yeah.
I think that, I think like it's just nice. It makes you feel like understood without even having your voice, you know? And I think that's really important when you're in a relationship that's long term, to kind of feel like he gets me without me having to tell him what I need or what I'm feeling.
Yeah. And that takes time for sure. All right. I want to go into, I don't really remember where it is in the book, but I remember reading this really cool idea of listening to your partner. And he talks about how, you know, we're all so immediately put on edge or have anxiety, or it's cringe when you hear your partner say, we need to talk.
I mean, if you hear anybody say those words, that's like a universal, like, I remember even just friends of mine, we need to talk. I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah, immediately. So it puts you in that fight or flight. It puts you in that defense mode, and you're immediately guarded. And so he talks about how, like, there's your way. Actually, let me get this right. Hold on. So I had to grab the book. He talks about there's meeting in the middle, there's meeting on your side, and then there's meeting later. So the meeting in the middle should be self-explanatory. Same thing with meeting on your side. But this meeting in the middle is really interesting.
Meeting later.
I'm sorry, meeting later is really interesting, because he talks about how instead of saying we need to talk, let me know when you have time to talk, which is the later.
Like,
I know.
cringe.
It's like trigger central. But he says, instead, approach your partner by saying, whenever you have some time, I would love to listen to whatever you have to say or whatever's on your heart or on your mind. So just let me know. Like, how much different do you instantly feel? Your guards are down, your walls. You're like, oh, well, I got time right now. Actually, if you got time. It just sounds
so weird to hear.
What do you mean?
Like, whenever you have time, I want to listen to what you have to say. What if the person's like, I have nothing to say.
Yeah, sure. And in that moment, I guess it's like, I have nothing to say, but why do you ask?
Yeah.
Right. And then I would respond with, well, actually, I would love if you can make some time to listen to some of the things I have to say. But I'm going to start with you first, you know, if you have to. I love the saying, when you're able to be heard, you can hear better. So I would feel like if you're able to be heard and you feel like I validated you, then you would do the same for me. So I definitely want to try that next time. There's something on my mind, something on your mind. I want us to come to each other and say, hey, whenever you have time, like, I would love to listen to you. But it's kind of, I mean, we, in essence, have been doing this where I call them quarterly check-ins.
Yeah.
You know, what would you rate us right now? How are we doing? What ways can I be better? We have our love box that your mom gave us. If anyone's new here, it's 2 separate boxes. And Shay and I can put in different note cards with whatever's on our mind or our heart, good or bad, by the way. And the overall intention of this box is to just get your feelings out without a response. If it warrants a response, you can put like, hey, can we make time so I can listen to you about this?
I was just going to say, be careful.
Talk about it. But it's really cool, and it helped us out a lot in the beginning. And every now and then, you know, we throw some more notes in there. So again, just more effective ways in the communication department that everyone can try. Because here's another thing. This is not in the book. I just know this from our experience. Here's a huge thing I wish I would have known before marriage. tone and delivery is everything when communicating. Like everything. My boy Chad, my best man at the wedding, taught me this a long time ago, years ago, and he says, you can have the greatest message ever to deliver to somebody.
No.
But if
your deliveries, if you could have the greatest message, but if
yeah, so I'll say it again. He used to say, if you could have the greatest message ever to give to somebody, but if your delivery is off, that message is never going to get across. And same thing with tone. You could have the greatest thing ever to say to someone, but if your tone is too high or too low, it's not going to hit the same. So tone and delivery, it should be common sense, but it wasn't for your boy. I was like,
well,
wow.
I think a lot of times like we're reacting, you know,
sure.
and we're not allowing ourselves the time to really process, to be able to properly articulate.
Yeah, 100%. So, but yeah, so maybe try that out with your partner, you know, like, hey, whenever you have some time, I'd love to listen to you. Which may sound weird at first, but you'll get used to it. You'll get comfortable with it. It'll just be, you know, one of your new things that you guys come up with. But anything else comes to your mind? Things you wish you'd known?
There was some other good ones if we're like still talking about the book.
Actually, really quick, because we just had dinner with them 2 days ago. I wanna talk about this. Thank God we did know this before we got married, but a destination wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Destination wedding is the way to go. In our opinion, definitely mine. Like,
I'm 1,000%.
Anyone that asks for wedding advice, like the actual wedding itself, I'm always like, please do a destination wedding.
Yeah.
Here's a couple like, okay. Sorry.
I was going to say the way that it was presented to us, because we were contemplating, I think we were looking at the Hummingbird's Nest,
Nest in LA,
local in Santa Clarita, I think Valley or whatever. And we ran into somebody and we were contemplating whether to do the destination or, you know, here. And their advice was, who they actually got married in Jamaica. They're like, if you could do a destination wedding, definitely do that, because think about it. It's like the one time you get all of your loved ones together and you basically are on vacation with them.
Yep.
And we recently had dinner with them and they said that till this day, they've been trying to get their family to do a one big trip and vacation. And she's like, it's impossible. Yeah. She's like, I almost want to get remarried again, because then it gives people a purpose and people are more likely to go. Yeah. But it's true. Like, wouldn't you love to do another group of like family and friends?
1,000%. I said the other episode, like, I want to get married again. Yeah. One, because there's there's a lot more new people I'd love to have there, and some old ones that won't be there, which is totally fine. But yeah, there's just so many reasons. But
not because of the people. What about us?
No. I mean, of course, but I mean, you were talking about the people traveling together. Yeah. I was rolling off of that. But yeah, for us, definitely. I mean, our story has like gone from, I would say, a beautiful 7 to like a 27 in like these 2.5 years.
Yeah. I also feel that I definitely want to renew our vows at 10 year. Yeah.
Oh, so I thought you meant now. I was like, no, I'm good with my stuff now. But in 10 years, yeah.
Like, not meaning change. I loved our vows, but just like, I don't know, like a vow renewal ceremony where our kids will hopefully like be there and yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely, which I feel like that's like coming. We're halfway there.
We're not. We are not even on 3 years yet. So we are.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
This will be 3 years.
20, 21, 22, 23. This is going to be 4-year wedding anniversary.
4-year anniversary. COVID year messed me up, man. That's right.
4 years.
4 years.
We're almost halfway there.
Sorry, you're right. Yep. I apologize. But anyways, again, if anyone's listening, destination wedding for the win. Again, as Shay said, it's the pretty much going to be the only time both families come together at the same time. Number one. Number two, if it's just on one night in your city where you live or where you're from, I can almost guarantee you it will be literally impossible to spend quality time with your guests, like true quality time.
Like, we had just about 50 people at our wedding, and I still feel like we didn't get moments with a lot of people. Yep. because the weekend, first of all, the day goes by so fast, let alone like even the weekend. But so I can't even imagine just cramming that all in on one day.
No chance. I mean, there are some people, unfortunately, who literally flew in for the wedding and flew out the next day, so we didn't get that much time with them. But for majority of everybody else, we had multiple days with them, multiple dinners, multiple like individual moments where jet skiing with the guys, and you guys did, I think, spa things and whatever. So highly, highly, highly recommend a destination wedding. And that is something that I'm grateful we knew before we got married, and hopefully we can save someone else. And here's the kicker too, when it comes to destination weddings. You know how your mom or your dad or your grandma maybe is going to try to persuade you to invite Uncle so-and-so and cousin so-and-so that you could care less to have them at your wedding. You have a destination wedding. It weeds out Uncle so-and-so because Uncle so-and-so is like, oh man, sorry, Junior, I can't afford it. And you're like, hey, I get it. I totally understand. We'll be thinking about you while we're there, right? So that also helps too. And it didn't for us, I don't think, but it should save you money. I don't think it did for us. So anyways, in wrapping this up, as we could go on and on, maybe we will do another episode here. This book is called Things I Wish I'd Known Before We Got Married. Gary Chapman is the author. It's a good book. Have at it. And those are just our 2 cents. So learn as we go.
Yes. I feel like there's so many more good tips in that book.
Yeah, we should hit a couple more one time.
Yeah, I would love that.
Go over it together. All right.
We can learn with you guys.
Exactly. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I don't know what order this is going to play out in.
Are you serious?
But as far as...
like your sincerity?
Yeah, I don't know what order you're putting.
No. Are you serious for thanking me for having you on?
Always.
It's not always.
One of my favorite things about you is that you include me in everything, even though I don't always want to be included.
Most of the time you don't? Mm-hmm.
No, I love it.
Okay.
I love
Strong
golf.
word.
I love...
Your camera's dead. You can talk to this one. It already knows you're full of shit.
I am, liking golf a little bit more.
Well, listen.
I was up last night looking at golf outfits.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. It's like getting a tattoo. Once you get one, it's really hard to stop.
Well, that's how I felt when when we went to go play that last course. The first time I felt good.
You played great.
I felt like I'm an athlete.
Oh, this is easy. Yeah, I do this all the time.
And then the last time I was like, what on earth?
Yeah,
this is annoying. And then you just want to do what you did the last time and you can't, and it's frustrating. But
now you're talking dirty to me. You could have recorded that and I could have used it today in my sperm retention situation. Could have used that for material.
That's what I should have just
You should have got one of your outfits, golf
I
outfits,
thought about that
swinging
yesterday.
the club, showing some cheeks.
I thought about that yesterday as a joke that I was going to do to you. I was going to send you a video of me putting the ball into the hole.
Naked?
No, I don't even think I need to be in the video.
Yes, you do. You think the ASMR of the ball going in the hole is going to, do it for me?
Yeah.
No.
The sound.
It is not like that. But in all seriousness, part of the reason why I include you on almost...
You probably were watching golf while you were doing that.
No, I was not. But part of the reason why I include you in so much is because you're my best friend. And I want to do any and all things with you, including going to get food at 9 o'clock at night, going golfing, going to Target, and having you on the show. It's just any and all things.
I love that.
So
I really do.
Cool. Well, good. You'll be back for part 2 of this season. So holding you to it.
All right. All right.
All right.